Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
Hey, what's going on, man? Tyler here with Black Diamond Softball and Fitness. We got a brand new episode of the Foul Pole to Foul Pole podcast. But before we get into that, I wanted to remind you guys about the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@foulpole to. All the video content is over there. If you haven't jumped over there yet and subscribed, please do so. Hit that bell, turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of the new content that's going on over there. And if you guys haven't checked out the brand new website, foulpole2foulpole.wixsite.com, please do so. There's all kind of cool stuff on there. We've even got a blog channel that's working over there, or really a blog page, putting out content every day. And we've got a bestsellers list too. So if you like to read, there's some good books on there. You can click on them, send you to a link where you can purchase them, read them at your own pace. So on this episode, I was able to get up with my buddy Jason Clark. He's a parent in the game, been in the game a while. His daughter's a part of a great organization, Team NC, and I kind of wanted to get his perspective on things, especially after he hit me up with a topic talking about athletes, aging up, moving up too soon, or waiting too long to move up, or what have you. So there's a lot that goes on with the ages in softball, and he had a great topic. I was like, you know what, boom, let's get you on here, man. Let's talk about it. So Jason, buddy, I appreciate you joining me today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. We talked a little bit off and on through the summer and into the fall, and then now here we are in the wintertime, and there's not a whole lot of playing going on. It's more or less getting everything right, getting that winter workout stuff done. What's it look like for you at your house and what you've got going on during the winter?
Well, for us, we make a month-to-month schedule, kind of stick to it. My daughter Gracie is a pitcher, so we have to pitch so many nights a week, so many pitches per week. We kind of organize that around, we play for Derek Taylor, Team NC Taylor, kind of tailor that around what he wants us to be at when we hit the field in February, and what Chief, our pitching coach, and our hitting coach want us to be at. So kind of tailor all our pieces around there. I would say, of any night, of any week, we probably work out about 4, maybe 5 nights a week, weights, CrossFit, pitching, hitting, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Whenever you're working, it's fun to work with daughters. I've got 3 daughters. 2 of them are in softball, and you've got Gracie. What do you take from that, those moments that you guys are spending together and you're seeing her put that work in and that grind?
It's really the relationship. I can see that we've gotten a lot closer. We understand each other a lot more, than maybe me and my son do, because we never really had that in a sport together. So I think it's really good to kind of just be there for her and understand, working out with her, because then I know when she's struggling and when she's not struggling, in normal competition.
Yeah. And before we started recording this, we were talking about Team NC and just how great that organization is with the coaches and stuff around that, not only the coaches, but also the other players and stuff. Speak on that just a little bit and talk about that unit cohesion that's within Team NC.
Yeah. We joined Team NC, we were already playing for Derek Taylor under another organization prior to moving to Team NC in the summer. Moved over to Team NC, and I tell you, it just seems overwhelming as a parent, even how much, we get from the organization how much, our coaching staff can actually reach into the organization, for, other teams at different age levels within the organization, girls that currently play at the high school level or that returned from college and are playing right now even, and just how much feedback we can get on where we're currently at, developing the girls and just moving forward. So it's really been quite welcoming in what we've received, moving over to Team NC.
Yeah. When you first started this journey, as a softball dad, I'm sure it was like everybody starting out at the recreation level, and then, there's like this love that kind of happens with that player, and it starts to grow. Did you realize at that point when you're making that transition of how big travel ball is, and then now, probably like me, every month or so, it just like opens up even more, and you figure out and you realize how big travel ball really is?
Yeah, it's crazy. When you start out at like the little rec league here in the county or whatever, it's just small, and you kind of hear about travel ball and you really don't know what it is. And then, you kind of get to a point where you're like, oh, I travel an hour away, so maybe that's travel ball. And then you start realizing, no, I'm in, 6 states in 4 months, and that is travel ball, and it just kind of grows and grows and grows. And just the people that you meet and the organizations you get to, be involved with, and the other teams and the places you get to see, it's unbelievable the amount that it just, is just compounded onto.
Yeah. You were sort of leaning towards my next point of the network that is within the coaches. Like we were just talking to a little bit about some of the bigger organizations throughout the country and the network that those coaches have, and us parents to kind of just pick up a little bit from them as they're learning along the way. How important is it for you to be in an organization that has such a large network for you and your daughter?
Well, I think it's very important for us right now. Gracie has her aspirations of what she wants to do and where she wants to be in a few years. And I think being in a, organization that kind of envelops that and allows us to kind of expand out is really fortunate for her. It's good for us, but it's, fortunate for her because, she has that connectivity of being able to reach out to the other organizations and be involved with the other organizations and things like that.
Yeah. And you see it too, just like I do, man. When you get to some of these higher level tournaments and you see some of the organizations, some of the teams that are there, there is just this sense of, I don't want to say togetherness, but there's this sense of, we're kind of on the same playing field. Like we know the game is the game. We know how to carry ourselves. We, look a certain way. We play a certain way. We act a certain way. And there's different levels to that travel ball, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. Derek calls it business like.
Yeah.
When we go out on the field, he tells the girls we're here to do a business. It's business like. We come ready to play every morning and we're ready to stay there until the lights turn off in the evening. So yes, you kind of go from a playing and having fun to it's really kind of game face on, even for the parents, professionalizing it, at a younger age, the sport.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. When I first got down here from Maryland, and my 2 daughters were playing, I think they were playing 10s and 8s, and we played a few one-day tournaments right as we got down here. We didn't know what travel ball was when we came down here. We just knew we wanted the kids to be playing something, and they got into travel ball. And we kept playing these one-day tournaments, and then we played a 2-day, and I didn't want to go back to playing one-day tournaments. Well, now fast forward a couple years, 2 or 3 years, now I don't want to play tournaments that don't start on Friday. Like if they're not Friday, Saturday, Sunday tournaments, or these longer ones that you can kind of, get lathered up and get into the tournament and play, more games than just 2 or 3 or 4 games. I like that, for coaching, but I like, just going and watching ball for a few days in a row. What kind of tournaments suit you as a parent, or which ones do you like?
Well, we haven't played one-day tournament in forever. I just think that's kind of the mentality. That's the mentality of the team, and I think that we're kind of in that same approach that you were on. So I mean, I can't tell you. I think it's been 14, 15 months since we as a team played something like that.
Yeah.
You know, Are the 2 and 3 day tournaments a little harder? Yeah, it kind of becomes challenging when it comes to, making sure you have the day off of work because you got to travel, kind of planes, trains, and automobiles on a Friday, middle of the day to be there at a certain time to warm up and play Friday night, or, be there and make sure you get a good night's sleep for an early game Saturday morning kind of a deal. And then kind of juggling the late Sunday night, sleeping in the truck on the way home to get ready for school. But I can tell you all around, us as a family, Gracie as a player, us as a team, it seems like the 2, 3, and 4 day tournaments are really kind of our wheelhouse. Yeah. Where we like to play. It allows our coaching staff to really kind of spread their wings on some of the things that they're doing. And playing time and working the girls in different positions and different things like that. Getting the pitching staff rotated the way they need to develop all of them. And I just think, it's a little bit harder. But I know looking back on it in a few years, we'll say, hey, that was what really helped them develop into being players that they are today.
Yeah. And even if, you get to a point and the kid decides not to play college ball, or they get into it and they play a couple years of college ball and they move into something else. I mean, the life lessons and stuff that they learn going through this, it is huge, and it's something that they'll always have, and it's something. So it's not like, we're trying to get it in when we can. We're trying to take in all the experience that, travel softball offers. And you guys are just like me. When it comes to being all in, it doesn't matter like what we're doing. This is our family. We always talk about it being a softball family. I know you guys just put in, didn't you just get through building something? I mean, at your house?
Yeah, actually I did. A lot of Facebook posts on the backyard batting cage kind of a deal. Yeah. For us, we live in the middle of Davie County in North Carolina, so there's not a lot of indoor facilities anywhere nearby here. So I kind of remodeled a shed into a place to pitch and hit, put a pitching machine in there, netted it all up, put some mats down and everything. So now we have the ability, and actually when we finish here, we have a time slotted for her and I to go pitch tonight. So yeah, I mean, it makes it really convenient for even a short workout to be able to go and, take the time in the evening, even on a winter break, or it's pouring down rain outside right now, to go and be able to pitch and hit and keep the work going.
Yeah. And, from a father to father, speaking on that, just going in there sometimes, not even throwing a ball, swinging a bat, just sitting in there and talking about life, talking about this or that, man. That stuff is just priceless.
It is. It's time that I can't get back, Yeah. Being able to just have a conversation, I can hear her talking to her friends, her teammates on the phone, before I came and sat down with you, and they're great friends and they talk all the time. But then to go in there and be like, oh, what were you guys talking about? Oh, we're talking about going and doing this, and we're going to do this, and just kind of hearing, and just having that conversation piece, and really using softball as a platform, I think, to build a stronger relationship with my daughter.
Yeah. That's, to me, I've seen my oldest one kind of grow from that 10U, and now, heck, man, she turned 16 on the 3rd. So we've gone through, we've had those conversations and stuff, but I was that dad, man, used to sit on the bucket, and if she missed a spot, I would yell at her. And then I kind of grew out of that. I was that dad. And now I'm trying to help coach and teach guys not to be that dad, but I was, man. And I had to change. So, that relationship that you guys got, I have that same type of relationship with my oldest one. And I don't know if my middle one is going to continue playing the game too much longer. I don't know. She kind of comes and goes, and I don't press it as much. And I wanted to ask you, that relationship that you guys have, can you tell when you need to kind of get her to take a break, get away from it a little bit, or is she able to kind of get herself off of it or whatever? What's your relationship like that when you're trying to hold her back a little bit so that she can take a break?
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from, with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere, And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts today and we'll install them for free. See better and drive safer with O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
So like I said earlier, we kind of made a month-to-month schedule, and it's got our rest days, our pitch days, our spin days, our stride days in there, our lift days, those kind of things.
Yeah.
But it allows her to keep accountability of what's required of her and how long it would be. But to kind of wheel back is there's times when, we did a spur of the moment kind of group hitting lesson with a couple other girls on our team a couple weeks ago. And we were supposed to pitch that next day. And, and she's like, hey, I'm kind of sore. I was like, well, okay. Hey, how about if we just let's go look at some video of you hitting then, or something like that, kind of wind it down. Cause I knew if I was like, no, you need a pitch, I'm sitting on the bucket. It would have been a whole different, she would have pitched angry instead of pitching to what she needs to do and develop, So I think there's being able to spend so much time with her, even in the truck, driving to Chiefs for a pitching lesson, or driving to a hitting lesson, or driving to a tournament, or home an evening from a tournament, just talking to her and knowing her and how she acts so much kind of really lets me know when we need to wind it up, that I know she's kind of playing around too much to where she needs to wind it down and take it serious, to the point that, hey, I know she really did. She went 3 hours on this hitting lesson, this group hitting lesson. Okay. Hey, guess what? We're going to kind of take it easy the next day. So I think it's because I spend so much time with her that I understand when it is time to ramp it up and when it's time not to.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of having one hitting lesson with her while she was down here at Myrtle, and I could just see that competitive drive that she has, that hunger for her to get better. So that's why I was kind of asking. I know, sometimes we do have to pull them back just a little bit, but with her, man, just that little bit that I've got to know her, she wants to go, go, go. And she chases that competitive, she has that competitive spirit, and she chases that competition. Is that something that she's always had, and you've kind of just now it's pushed towards softball?
She's very competitive. I played sports all the way up through high school, in through my time in the service. My wife still, plays co-ed and all women's softball. So she kind of grew up around softball. And I think most of the competitiveness really comes from she's competing against my wife. I can say that on a daily basis. She wants to be better than my wife in any way possible. And she will absolutely push herself to make sure that, that she is. So I think there's times that, like you say, winding her back on it. And that drive is sometimes she wants, hey, I want to throw 10 more pitches. No, you've thrown 70. We said 70 is the stopping point tonight. Yeah. We're done, because I just don't want it to get to a point of hurting yourself. Yeah. So yeah, super competitive. It's that competitive drive, but I think some of that comes from, we've sat down with her and really had conversations on, what do you want to do? Are you playing softball for recreational, even though it's travel? Are you playing it recreationally? It's just something fun to do, stay in shape, play with your friends, kind of a thing. Or do you have bigger aspirations? Hey, you want to play in college? Hey, you want to play on your high school varsity team and start? Hey, do you want to play in the Olympics or professionally? What do you want to do? And when she sets her goals, I'm just there for the ride. Literally, I'm just there help to support it. That's all it is. It's her drive.
Man, I'm so glad you said that, because that's big for the other parents to hear, not just me say it, because I host this thing, but to hear you say it and just be along for the ride and let them do whatever it is. We see it, man. There's so many parents that are trying to guide in a certain way that's like, from the outside, it looks like, man, you're steering her boat. You're pushing the gas. You're trying to get her to do things that maybe she doesn't want to. And I understand that parents, we have to do that to a certain point, but eventually it gets to those kids. Like if they don't do something, they're going to let the parents down. I mean, do you see that as well?
Yeah, I think there's, a lot of, and this isn't bashing anyone else, but a lot of people kind of live vicariously through their kids to a point that, you have what you want for them, but it's their journey. It's not your journey. It's their journey. So just be 100% supportive in their journey. And as much as you possibly financially, emotionally, physically can, because it's not yours, it's theirs.
Yeah. I mean, there's no better feeling in the world though than that front row seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But it is a seat, that's truly what it is. I'm there to watch.
We're sitting there watching our last tournament that we played at Myrtle Beach. We come back for a Sunday, and it was a win or go home type tournament situation on Sunday. And we ended up playing to a 1-0 loss as a pitcher's duel. And I stopped calling pitches about the second inning because my pitcher and the catcher, they were grooving so much that it was just like they had this feeling I didn't want to get in the way of it. And I ain't kidding you, man. I sat back. I did a little bit of coaching here and there, but the girls were coaching themselves. There wasn't anything, crazy going on that where I needed to get up off the bucket. And I just sat back and I thought to myself, how much fun is this? And I'm that type of coach that you can't tell that I have 2 daughters on the team. There are people that have no idea that these 2 are my kids. And that's the way it is for me. But I got to sit back and watch all the youngins like they were my kids. That day I had 10 girls there. And there, you as a dad gets to, you sit back and you watch that and you get to see the smiles, you get to see the frustration, you get to see them chase that competition and stuff. How awesome for you to sit back and take your pictures and your video and be able to experience this with her.
Yeah, absolutely is. It's just a great time to watch.
Yeah. Well, talking about competition, talking about chasing that competition. I know you guys are, full bore, max effort, trying to chase competition. So you did have that topic you brought up to me. It's like, hey man, this would be something good to kind of throw around and get some feedback. So I figured I wanted to hear your side of it too, because, we've had conversations before. When it comes time to moving up, whether it's going from 10U to 12U, and then even playing up, maybe you're a 12U team and you're jumping up to play 14s. Let me get your point of view or get your perspective on when is it right for, say, you as a parent or maybe as a team to start looking to move up? What signs do you see that it's time for us to start maybe chasing some competition at a higher level?
Maturity of the player or players, for me, it's about ours. So the maturity level is really, really important. As they get older, they're bigger, faster, stronger. And if that maturity level isn't there to play at that level yet, just based off age, then, that's a number one indicator, and a consideration you have to take into effect. Right. Getting advice from people who have nothing to gain. Nothing to gain out of it. Her pitching coach, Chief Gerald, he's got nothing to gain out of, moving Gracie to 14s or 16s. He's got nothing to gain. He's there to coach her in pitching. So what's his advice? Hey, she's doing really well on these things right here. Hey, how's she competing? Boom, boom, boom. Same thing with her hitting coach, nothing to gain. Sometimes if you go to, a tryout or a open workout or whatever they want to call them, and the coach is like, oh, your daughter's ready to play this level. Okay. Is that because you're wanting her on your team? Is that because you're wanting her at this level, or what is it? So, getting advice from people that have nothing to gain on where your daughter actually is, what's the actual skill level, not the perceived skill level, the actual skill level, right. Are they very competitive at their own age, or the sanction that they're playing in? Different sanctions are different competitive levels. Yeah. So she may be an all-star at this sanction, and you take her over here to a different sanction, and she can't hit it. She can't pitch it. She can't do anything, So getting true evaluations, attending multiple workouts and tryouts, and see what other, what other coaches are saying about her, what other people are saying about her. Just kind of getting that true aspect of it is really the considerations that we take into where we need to, we feel that Gracie needs to be. And then I could tell you, we've, really developed a good, kind of relationship with Derek and the rest of our coaching staff on, where she's at and where she needs to be. So I think that's the primary one for us.
Yeah. And there's a certain level of trust that comes with how long that your team has been together. You trust those coaches. You've seen it. It's not just, well, I have to trust him because he's the coach and then you just wing it. It's like, no, he has a track record of building trust. He didn't tell you, say, hey, trust me. He said, I'm going to show you why you can trust me. And he's done that. So, I mean, we talked about being in Team NC, and there's guidance that's, kind of built in with that organization. And there's no doubt that your team, the 12U team, could go right now and go play in some lower sanction tournaments at 14s and walk the dog on in those sanctions, like you were saying. Is that truly doing anything though, other than maybe giving you some maybe some inflated confidence that's going to get shot right back down when you bump right back down to 12s and play in a legit tournament?
Yeah, I think that's false motivation. I mean, I truly do. I think, yeah, if Derek decided it was the right thing for us to do to go play in this 1-day lower sanction tournament, to gain a win or a ring or a little medal or something like that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we honestly, most of us could care less about a ring or a medal or anything like that at all. It's really chasing that competition. So if we're going to bump and play at a higher age bracket, it's, for us, I don't really see us looking at age very much. I see us looking at more at skill level. Like, where can he place us? Like when we get our team schedule out, what's funny is it's not like, 12, 14, 16, whatever, the age group that's in there. Derek listed out of how many A teams are in this, how many true A teams are in this tournament.
Yeah.
And that's how the decision is made. It's not made off anything else. So yeah, I think we just got to trust the process of playing, at a competitive level. Even though you may not be successful, it's better than playing a lower sanctioned one.
Yeah, and as a parent, we want to see our kid. Now, this is me talking 8U, maybe some. As a parent, we want to see them get their medals and win, because to them, the competition is just getting out there and overcoming that fear of playing, being in a tournament setting and stuff like that. When does that switch flip, or when did it flip for you to go from, okay, I can see maybe Gracie's getting tired of playing the same teams just in a different town week in and week out, and it's almost at a point now she might be starting to get bored with it. We need to push and find some better competition.
Yeah, I would say it would be 8s and 10s. 8s and 10s was about it for us.
Yeah.
And we joined Derek, towards the end of our 10s. And I think that's really when we saw it. Is I think, the T-ball, the coach pitch, the 8s, the 10s, all that is great because you get the medals, you get the rings. It kind of gives the girls the drive. Right. But I think now you even hear it come out of the girls' mouths. They don't care about a ring. They don't care about a medal. They want to win. That's what they want. Their drive is to win. Yeah. Give up the least amount of runs and score the most. In the whole tournament across the board. So I think it was that switch for us, probably, for Gracie, as she hit early 12s, I think for us as parents, to be honest, probably halfway through our second season of 12s with Derek, as we entered that second season, because for us, it really, it was like, oh my gosh, we're getting beat up by these, we're playing, technically playing up 2 age groups in the spring. We're competing, but we're not winning these tournaments. But the expectation wasn't to win those tournaments. It was to be very, very competitive. Yeah. To where we rolled and hit the fall. And now we're playing, teams that are 1 year above us. And now we're competing and winning. And I think that was for us as a family, for my wife and I, to really, that's where the light went on of like, I don't care about your medal. I don't care about your ribbon. I think Gracie and the girls probably saw it earlier because now it's a driving factor. And with Derek talking to him, about it all the time. But for us, I would say about the last summer, second year of 12s.
Yeah. And then it's just like, it's a snowball effect. They don't look at it any different now. It's just they want to keep chasing that competition. I don't care how good the team is. I don't care where we're going. I don't care who they just beat to get to here, whatever. I want to see how we play against them. And that's that mentality that a lot of teams get. Now,
Yes.
what how do you balance that when you're talking to somebody that maybe is coming to you for advice and say, "Hey, um, I don't know if it's time for us to move up or not as a team." What is something that you would ask them so they could kind of almost guide themselves into that? Something like, what competition level are you playing? What's been your record? Have you had any experience maybe pitching from 43? Do you
Mhm.
have any girls that are moving into that high school age and maybe like South Carolina where you can play high school ball in seventh grade? Like, are you just going into this blind? What are some questions that you kind of maybe would help these guys guide themselves into the right decision?
For if anyone came to me and asked that, and I get kind of asked some similar things to that all the time, is I always ask why.
Yeah.
Why do you want to move? What's the reason behind it? Is it to make a social media post? Is it because your daughter is batting 800? You know,
Mhm.
is it because, hey, she's pitching from 40 feet and she's just mowing people down right now? So, is it that, hey, let's get her back to, where she needs to be at 43 feet, where she gets to stay the rest of her time? But why? Why do you want to do it? Are you not happy with, going into these tournaments? Is your daughter not happy with going into these single day tournaments? She wants to play more competitive, different sanction, double, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day tournaments. It's what is it that she really wants out of it, and why do you want to do it? I think that's the biggest thing for me is always asking why they want to do it and what the reason is behind it.
Yeah. I see it at 14s. Once the kids get to 14s, the game doesn't change a whole lot as far as the rule set. We talked about that being
Mhm.
43 feet. And, I mentioned to you about the gimmicky stuff that you'll see at eights or at 10s and 12s. Usually it's pretty straightforward. I mean, the coaches have got to be able to coach.
Mhm.
But you don't see them like we made it to 14U, it wasn't any difference for us to go in and play in 16U or 18s because you're going to have in South Carolina, you got seventh and eighth graders that can make varsity. You've got ninth graders that are playing against, varsity players that are seniors and stuff like that. So yeah, you might be a little bit physically the maturity level. You may not be there and mentally as well, but the game is the game at this point. So why not go ahead and move up? So at some point, do you see that happening with you guys too? It's just like, okay, we're going to end up getting into these showcase tournaments or getting into these, going to some of these team camps where we're going to be scrimmaging. At what point do you look or do you think it's going to happen for you guys where it's just boom, we might play 1 year of 14s and after that we're just going to go up and play high school ball?
I can speak from the parents' perspective. What Derek does and thinks is the right for the team, I'll leave that to him.
Right.
But what I can say from the parent perspective is, Gracie lucked out here in Davie. We get to play sixth graders, get to play middle school ball. That doesn't happen a lot in North Carolina.
Right.
So she got to play, already a season of middle school ball, throwing from 43 feet.
Mhm.
And I think that's another advantage that we have is, all our pitchers are throwing from 43 feet right now. So the speed of the game is going to speed up, but the extra throwdown gimmicks and like you talked about and things like that. I think the bigger factor that when I talk to Derek as a parent of a pitcher, hey, getting them to 43, keeping them at 43 as fast as we can is only going to benefit us all the way around. The rest of it doesn't affect as much, but it really affects our pitchers.
Mhm.
And I think that's where, what Derek's plans are for us, this next spring and beyond. I've kind of heard the rumblings from him on it of what we're going to do. Hey, I'm loving it. I think it's going to be great for us. But yes, I think for us, getting them to 43 feet and keep them there, is where we need to be. It's going to develop them faster.
Yeah, I agree. I see it. You don't see it when you're talking PGF. You don't see it so much when you're talking USA or Triple Crown or some of the alliance stuff. You don't see teams that are a full age division lower jumping up and playing because the competition level is so high at the age group that they're at. They might as well stay there. But at the lower end sanctions and those, one day tournaments, you see these teams that will be a 10 and go play 12. I mean, 35 feet to 40 feet is a big jump. It really is. It affects the pitchers and it definitely affects the hitters. And no one can tell me that it doesn't. But then you'll see it too from 12 going and playing 14. And this past, well, not too long ago, my oldest daughter was still eligible to play 14U ball. And mind you, she turned 16 in less than a week. She was still eligible. In South Carolina, you can drive at 15 and a half. So my youngin drove to this tournament. She didn't play in it, but she could play 14U ball. And I know there was 12U teams that were bumping up and playing 14 to make that tournament, to make the numbers right or whatever. So you have to know, man, there's probably a 10 or an 11-year-old girl on one of those teams. I couldn't imagine as a parent, my oldest kid sitting in a box, sitting back on what is normally a changeup at this kid's fastball speed and her hitting it right back at that youngin on the mound. It terrified me knowing that some of these little girls out there, 10, 11 years old, could end up playing against somebody like my oldest. What does that do to you when you see teams that are moving up when they really shouldn't have, and you're putting that other older team, in a bad spot?
Well, yeah, and when we've done it quite a few times with Gracie. It's been in conversation with Derek, like, hey, getting her ready for middle school. We're gonna move her. We're gonna play, from 14s from 43 feet. Get her some reps in from a couple rain outs, kind of a deal. And I tell you, it's like chewing wood. I think the first one we went to, I think 3 girls off the team drove themselves there. Literally. And I'm thinking, I have an 11-year-old, and you just drove yourself to this tournament. And it was, it's like chewing wood, just, bitter scared of a ball back up the middle. Yeah. So it actually is, it is terrifying. It's hard to watch, but, I can tell you, watching her warm up, watching her kind of interact, watching her throw those first couple of warm up pitches down, and then watching her get in, be able to throw that, that two seam or that curve and watch it break. It like gets the confidence right there. Yeah. It's right there.
Yeah. And that's another thing, man. If your kid is not ready to especially a pitcher, man, if your kid's not ready to pitch at 43, don't bump her up and give her this false, sense of confidence or false sense of security, thinking that she's going to be able to handle it. Because, man, these girls can sit back on changeups, and that kid's fastball is about a changeup in some cases, and you're going to get them hurt, and that's what kills me the most. But talk about it from the other point of view. Talk about it from this older team that now has to play a team that's not ready to move up, and the tournament director maybe didn't do a very good job, said, oh yeah, you'll be fine, let's go play. Talk about that maybe from a parent standpoint, and then if you were a coach, how would you approach that with the older team?
So if we were the older team playing in our normal age bracket and a younger team was playing up, we've seen it a couple of times. Derek will change up the lineup, who's batting where in the lineup, kind of trying to see what he can do, what he can create. Where he may, build some confidence in some girls that may be batting lower in the lineup to go into the next game. Because, it's so much mental involvement in the game as a whole, that he'll switch up the lineup, get the girls a couple of hits that they, may not have had before, that builds their confidence for that next game. Put girls into their alternate position. We've seen him do that, for us, mainly we have a primary and like an alternate and then the second alternate position. Putting girls into those positions and letting them play and learn, because you never know these days when somebody has the flu and can't make it, or we're in the middle of a tournament and, somebody gets hurt. Unfortunately we had a girl really get hurt this last year. So, putting girls into their other positions. So if it ever happens, they're able to play, and able to play it, well. So I think that's one of the things. Now, that would be from what we've seen as a parent on playing some of these teams. Now, it's frustrating sometimes. It's not going to lie, because some of these tournament schedules, you want to play that competition the whole day. You don't want to go from slow pitch to faster pitching, back to slow pitching to faster. You don't want to play with the speed of the game being a lot slower than all of a sudden you got, two of the top teams are playing each other in the tournament, which could set the whole bracket. Or, you're playing one of these teams and, you kind of feel bad, but you can't take your foot off the gas, because it's going to set precedent of where you sit in the bracket. If it's, whatever number of game, elimination is.
Yeah.
So, it's hard, but also knowing that we are in that position at some point. But when we go into it, we have to look at it a different way. So, I think that's where it is for us when a younger team plays up, is it gives us opportunities. But sometimes based off what tournament it is, I do think people kind of, push people to join the tournament that maybe they shouldn't have been in, or a division they shouldn't have been in. And it hurts the tournament as a whole.
Yeah. I've seen it here locally where like the 14 won't make, and it'll be a brand new 12 that just moved up. 14s won't make, and they'll go out there and play in the high school. And and some of the sanctions that are around here, they do really well. And it's almost like friendlies throughout the country. Like I know California and Texas, they do a lot of friendlies and stuff. And it's more or less like friendlies that we play in these one-day tournaments. And the high schools, man, they'll have 12 or 14 teams in it. And there's some of these high schoolers that are out there that might have a coach or two that's coming to watch them play because pitcher A is getting recruited to go here, and they want to see her pitch, so she's going to come out here, and it's a stout little lineup for a one-day tournament. And you end up throwing this 12-year-old team in there because they just really bumped up. This is their first 14U tournament, and now they get thrown to the Wolves and play in high school. So now you got these high schoolers like, oh my God, what are we doing? It really gets into their psyche a little bit. And that high school team has nothing to gain at all. And that team that's bumping up to play, they can post on Facebook next week. Oh, we bumped up this weekend, played high school, blah, blah, blah. We did really well. And it gives these parents and these coaches like they're better than what they truly are. And what happens is they're not playing the highest level of competition that they could. So they really don't know how good their team really is because they're playing what I call traveling rec. And I know you spoke on playing traveling rec and you avoid it like the plague. What do you think traveling rec has done to the game? And has that, fully replaced rec ball in a lot of areas?
Well, I know it did here in our county. I don't even think they have a rec anymore.
They don't play at Rich Park no more?
Nope, they do not. I think they have maybe some T-ball and maybe some coach pitch, but I think that's about where it stops.
Yeah.
Because everything's so reliant on, a lower sanctioned kind of travel ball. So I think the expansion of so many teams has really diluted the team's makeup nowadays. You want your kid to be competitive. You want your kid to be good. But once they're the best one on the team, you have to move them. You have to get somewhere better for them. It's kind of a standard practice. But what I see is, hey, I like my, some people, hey, I like my kid being the best of everything, batting top of the lineup, playing shortstop, doing this, all this kind of stuff. And, you end up having these delusion of teams where there's like, two good players, but there's 100 teams, where, if you started limiting how many teams there actually were around, you can make some pretty darn good competitive teams, combining some of those players together.
Well, before we get out of here, I have to get your opinion on this. And I wasn't going to ask you, but I got to get your point of view on this. And I'll tell you exactly where I stand too. There are groups of people out there that think that these big time organizations that they hear about are nothing but money grabs, and the lowest end teams, the younger teams, the less competitive, if you will, whatever, the money that they fundraise or the money that they pay their dues on or this and that goes to fund the older teams and stuff like that. Can you speak on what it means to you to be in an organization like that and kind of dispel some of the rumors that people have about those big organizations in general, like Team NC or the Firecrackers or Mojo or Bat Busters or, these bigger ones that people think, they're all about the money when they're truly not?
Well, I could tell you flat out, it's not about the money. Since we joined Team NC, all of our dues are lower. They actually are lower. We're playing more tournaments, more competitive, more locations, more states, and the dues are actually lower. We're doing the same fundraising that we were doing as any other team, that we've done with any other team in any other organization, big or small, the same type of fundraising. So I don't really see that being a factor. I think for us as Team NC, I think, our coaches and I guess Team NC chartering our coaches to be in charge of, financially and operationally each team, has really given them the opportunity to use their money as we need it, in a smart way, to be able to play in these other things or have indoor facility during the winter, rent it for a couple hours here and there, batting cages, things like that. So I'm not seeing that from Team NC. I don't think, as far as I know, not a dime that we raise as our team goes to anyone else. It stays in-house, and it allows our girls to have more time on a field, in an indoor facility, going to tournaments, things like that. So I hear that a lot. Like, I don't want to join one of these bigger teams because it's just a money grab for 10, 15, 20 players on an 8U, 10U, 12U team so they can fund the other ones. I'm not seeing it, like I said, ours actually went down quite a bit from joining Team NC.
Yeah. Like with us in the Firecrackers, we have our organizational dues that we have, and there's what we get from that is, to me, is second to none, because we have the recruiting advisory board. We sit in on a coaches meeting every Tuesday with Coach Tony Rico. He brings people from all over. In December, let's see, October, November, and December, one day a month, we had an hour-long discussion with Sports Recruits, the company that is doing huge things. If you don't know about Sports Recruits, everybody get into Sports Recruits. It'll really help you out. But he went through 3 or 4 different sessions with us, talking about the little ins and outs and all the little nuances about how to maximize the exposure for these girls. And then we had somebody like Leah Miko, multi-gold medalist for Team USA. We have college coaches that'll come in there and talk and help these coaches with, this is what you should be doing. This is, what we're doing at practices. This is how we're doing this. So that's endless. That, to me, it pays for itself. But then we also have relationships with some big time power companies in the game of softball that we wouldn't have had the, access to. So there's a lot that goes into that. And it's not just paying money to go play in a tournament. And then you have this thing where, you guys could get a few teams with Team NC together and do like a summit or do like a Team NC day. Or, I think you guys did like some type of term. I think Brian was putting that on or something like that, where everybody kind of comes together and there's different organizations will send teams there, and you guys get to be, you get to wear that Team NC. It's on your chest. You're a part of something, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I know, in my discussions with, Derek, and as we changed over to Team NC, there is truly like a, kind of pseudo mentorism thing that goes on between coaches at different levels, where, Derek, as he's developing our girls at the 12U level, these coaches that are at, the 14, the 16s, and 18s, high school. He's talking to them all the time, and they're giving him advice on what tournaments to get in. Hey, we have girls from other Team NC teams come to our practice. We have coaches come to our practices or be involved or come watch our tournaments And they're not just watching the girls, they're, helping give advice to our coaching staff and, anyone else involved with it. So, yeah, I agree. It's not just about the money to like a gate fee to get into a tournament. There's so much more involved in it.
Yeah, we're not just paying to wear the name and then that's it. I mean, I'm sure there's organizations out there that do that, but the two that I know between Team NC and Firecrackers, that's not what it's for. I can't speak for all of them, but I know that it's not what people think. And then, eventually they get into an organization and they're like, holy crap, we should have done this back when it was 12. So now we're looking for a high school team and it's new to them. I don't think people understand how valuable having a network is when it comes to if they're going to go down that route to go to college, of having this network of people that can, speak on you and speak on that team and that coach, because eventually those coaches are going to be talking to college coaches and there has to be some level of trust between that college coach. And if they don't know you, like if you're just the butterflies from Moxville, North Carolina, nobody knows who the butterflies are from Moxville.
Nope.
So
absolutely. So true.
Well, Jason, man, I appreciate you joining me tonight. It was a lot of fun. I want to have you back on. Maybe we'll get like a round table going or something like that, dude. It's a lot of fun talking to you, just in general, but having you on the podcast, man, to kind of help shed some light and give the parents' perspective. And
well, thank you very much. Thanks very much for having me.
It's been fun, man. I'll have you on again soon. I promise you that.
All righty. I'll keep throwing up ideas for you to put up on the site too.
That works for me. All right, man. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Big time shout out to Jason for joining me today. A lot of fun catching up with him and getting his perspective on things, man. That's what it's all about, sharing good information and getting people's perspective on how they see things or how they feel and giving out some good advice. I mean, big shout out to Team NC doing it right. I know those guys over there. I know Kevin. I know Brian. I know a bunch of those guys. So I absolutely love what I do. Again, thanks, Jason, for joining me. If you guys like this type of stuff, man, please leave a comment below. Let me know how we're doing and give me some topics that you guys want to talk about as well. And as always, if you like this type of stuff, man, please share it with a friend. And when you do, you tell them you love them.
Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts today and we'll install them for free. See better and drive safer with O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Oh, oh,